It feels way too early for us to already know who's good. What's up, everybody? Well, God bless. I hope you all are having a great week as always. And with that, let's get right into this week's power rankings. Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to put them in borderline elite for now, but I'm seriously considering putting them up in the top five. I think the Rams have just played really good football up to this point. Yes, they lost to the Eagles because they lost like a 19-point lead in the second half, but this is still a really good team. They beat a red hot Indianapolis Colts team, and they beat them pretty good too. And it was just a good week for the Rams. You love to see the Rams continue to get better, and they look like a genuine threat in the NFC. The Seattle Seahawks. I'm gonna put them up into the borderline elite tier, but probably at the very bottom of it. The Seahawks had a nice win over the Arizona Cardinals, but the Arizona Cardinals really don't have much offense, so you can't give them too much credit. But the Seahawks have just been consistent this season. Yes, they lost to the 49ers in week 1, but they've been great ever since, and you just love to see that if you are a Seahawks fan. The Atlanta Falcons, I'm going to put them in mid. What is this team? We have no idea at this point. Week 1, they were competitive against Tampa Bay. Then they beat the Vikings, and we were like, okay, this looks like a pretty good team. And then this past or 2 weeks ago, they got absolutely demolished by the Carolina Panthers. And then this week, they beat what looks like a solid Commanders team. What is this team? Is the Panthers game just a mirage or something? We have no idea yet. But I'm going to have to put this team in the mid tier for now, simply because we have no idea what they are yet. But we definitely know what the Bengals are, and they are a bad team. My gosh, their offense is hard to watch. I watched the Monday Night Football game for once, and it was a mistake. I really shouldn't have because this offense is absolutely putrid to watch without Joe Burrow. They're not getting the ball to their top guys. Jamar Chase got locked up by the Broncos, and it's really bad vibes. And things are only going to get worse with Detroit next on their schedule. The New York Jets, this is a tanking team. Oh my gosh. They could have beaten Miami. They really could have, but they kind of killed themselves with fumbles and just mistakes. Yeah, the refs didn't help either, but it just wasn't a good day for the Jets last night. The New York Giants, they get to go up a tier after upsetting one of the top 5 teams coming into this week, and that's the Chargers. How about Jackson Dart? Yes, they lost Malik Neighbors for the entire season, which is why I can't be too high on them. But man, Jackson Dart looked really good in that first start. And that's really all you can ask for the Giants. Oh boy, Baltimore. It might genuinely be time to panic on this team. They've lost back-to-back games against top 10 opponents, and it's not good. Things are really bad in Baltimore right now. The Las Vegas Raiders. This is a bad team. I'm going to say they played really good against the Bears, but still couldn't win that game. Ashton Genty finally looked good for the first time this season, but they just could not get it done, and that's really been their story so far this season. Miami Dolphins. They get to finally go up a tier for the first time this season after their pretty unimpressive victory over the Jets, but at least they got a win. The Kansas City Chiefs. Back to the borderline elite tier you go, huh, KC? Oh boy, that was a statement win over the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday. A 37-20 victory, and one of those touchdowns for the Ravens came in garbage time. They completely demolished the Ravens on Sunday, and there's a serious case to be made now that Mahomes and the Chiefs own the Ravens. The man, these Patriots. I'm gonna have to put them all the way up in the mid tier because, gosh, that was a good win there. Actually, I think I put them up in mid tier last week. But anyway, they have played actually competent football over the last couple of weeks, and that's surprising to me. They were competitive against a good Steelers team, and this week they demolished a bad Carolina team. And that's all you can ask for the Patriots. They're just beating the teams that are bad, and that's all you can ask for. The Green Bay Packers. Oh boy, what do I say about Green Bay this week? I'm gonna put them in the borderline elite tier, but I'm gonna put them above all of these teams. Because Green Bay, I'm not sure what to make of Micah Parsons' revenge game, to be honest. I don't think most people are because it was a tie. And I know a lot of people are like not liking ties right now because of how this game went down. And I get that. I personally like ties, but that's a different statement for another time. But the Packers have looked very mediocre the last 2 weeks. They're 0-1-1 in the last 2 games, and they've played very bad opponents. And it's not a great look right now for the Packers to be playing down to inferior opponents. The Washington Commanders, I'm gonna have to put them at like the top of mid tier because on paper, this team is pretty good. I think that they have a lot of talent. And once Jaden Daniels comes back, they should start grooving again. But they got embarrassed by the Falcons this week. New Orleans Saints. Yeah, they're tanking. Yeah, this is a pretty easy decision for me. Man, things are not great down in New Orleans, but at least they've been competitive, and that's really all you can ask for the Saints. I mean, I'm pretty sure Spencer Rattler is not their long-term quarterback, which is sad because I like Spencer Rattler, but it's not a great season to be a Saints fan right now. They're not really a great team, and they're still winless, which has to suck for them. The Cleveland Browns. Yeah, it was nice while it lasted, but this team is tanking. And I think for the Browns, they could have been more competitive than they were in this game, but they kind of killed themselves with turnovers and they also killed themselves with not being able to convert at all. And the Lions were unquestionably able to take advantage of that, and they were just able to be the better team all game long. Philadelphia Eagles top 5. I would say this week, I personally figured out that this team is actually the best team in football. And that's just how I see it. This team finally proved that they are the best team in football to everybody. And that's exactly what you want to see from this Eagles team. The Denver Broncos. Yeah, they had a good game, so I'll put them in the good but not great tier. But I can't say this was one of their best efforts either. I mean, it's not that impressive to beat the Cincinnati Bengals who are without Jake Browning, but they were able to do it. It's very clear that this was a get right game for the Broncos. They were finally able to unlock their offense, and their defense played well too. And it just seems like they were able to beat down a team that's just down. And so you got to give them credit for that at least. The Chicago Bears. We're going to put this team right around the top of mid tier. And I'm going to do that because the Bears have won their last 2 games. And I don't care how they've done it, they've won their last 2 games. And it just seems like momentum is starting to build up in Chicago right now. And I'm not saying that this is a playoff team yet because really beating the Cowboys and Raiders doesn't scream playoffs, but it's progress, and you want to see that if you are a Bears fan. Carolina Panthers. Way down. Too bad. Yeah, this is not a good team. Let's be honest. The Bryce Young experiment has been up and down this season, and let's just say their defense hasn't been that great. And that was put on full display this week in their 42-13 loss to the Patriots. And there's a lot of question marks now down in Carolina. The Indianapolis Colts. I'm gonna put them in the borderline elite tier, like right above KC, because they put up a good effort against the Rams, but mistakes again were the big story. Like Adonai Mitchell fumbled into the back of the end zone, and really, you can't do that if you're the Colts. You can't afford to make those types of mistakes, and they lost by 7. So it's just brutal, man. It's just brutal. The Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, this is a mid-tier team to be honest. I think they're right about where the Falcons are, so I'm going to keep them there for now. But the Arizona Cardinals are an interesting case of they're just a weird team to watch. Like it's interesting because they're now 2-2 and they've played competitive football against their division rivals but are still losing, if you know what I mean. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. and that offense just haven't gotten going yet, and it's just frustrating to watch them, to be honest. The Pittsburgh Steelers. This is definitely a good but not great team for sure. Steelers this week pulled out an ugly win in Ireland over the Vikings, and that's all you can ask them to do is just win football games. But beating Carson Wentz by only 3 points is not the best. Let's just go with that, to be honest. And I think there's still more room for the Steelers team to grow, but they are at least surpassing expectations for now. Speaking of the Minnesota Vikings, we're going to put this team comfortably in the mid tier. And we're going to do that because this team continues to look, well, mid. And because JJ McCarthy is out and Wentz has been playing about subpar to him or about par to him, and it's kind of weird. Their quarterback situation is very mediocre. And I think because of that, they're not capitalizing on a great roster. Imagine if they had Sam Darnold right now. Where would they be at? The Tennessee Titans. I'm going to put this team down into the tanking tier, but I'm going to put them at the top of it because the Titans are among three teams right now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's three teams who are still winless. And it's not a great club to be in. You've got the Titans, Jets, and the Saints, who are all winless. And the fact that the Browns are down there with those teams is embarrassing. But this team just is not talented at all. Ao Manor is like basically the only good player on their roster that is not Cam Ward. And it's not a great time to be a Titans fan, to be honest. It's also not a great time to be a Texans fan either, because they're just a bad team. Let's be completely honest. I mean, they're a somewhat decent bad team, but they're still a bad team. The fact that they shut out the Titans 26 to nothing is not that impressive. It's not like, oh my gosh, the Texans are back impressive. It's just kind of like, yay, they got a win. Good for them. And it's good. We are seeing more shutouts, which is kind of impressive. But at the same time, the Texans still need to get going against actual teams, and the Titans is not one of them. Buffalo Bills, top three. They're probably the number two team in the entire NFL right now. It's either them or Philadelphia. I think I would slightly lean towards Philadelphia because they've been playing, I think, a tad better over the first 4 weeks, but that's just my opinion. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this team has really surprised me to this point. And I'm just impressed by the way that this team has played. And I didn't think I'd be saying that, but I am genuinely impressed by the way that this team is playing. I mean, yeah, the 49ers did kind of give it to them, but also the Jaguars played really well and beat a really good 49ers team. At least they were a really good team. But that's a different discussion altogether. The Jaguars looked better than they usually do against the 49ers. So I have to give them credit for that. The San Francisco 49ers, good but not great. Let's put them at the top of the tier, though. The 49ers took a ugly loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars as they committed 4 turnovers in their 31-26 loss. I'm pretty sure it's 31-26. I could be wrong. It's probably 26-23, knowing my luck. But anyway, this team could have won that game, but Brock Purdy looked really rusty, and they lost to Jacksonville, who is admittedly surpassing expectations, but we'll have to see how good Jacksonville really is. The Dallas Cowboys. I'm actually going to put them in the good but not great tier because they played really good against a pretty good Green Bay Packers team. Let's be honest. This is a pretty good Green Bay Packers team. I think the Cowboys are playing good football right now, and that's why I'm putting them in the good but not great tier. The Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to put them in the good but not great tier. And I'm going to put them, I think, right about the top of it. I think they're a little better than the Packers are playing right now. But I still don't think that this is an elite team by any measure. Losing to the Giants is kind of embarrassing, to say the very least. I think I am actually going to drop them a little bit. Hold on, give me. That's better. I think that's a more fitting placing for the Chargers. Because losing to the Giants is pretty embarrassing. I can't put them at the top of borderline elite. But I think this is still a good Chargers team, and if they can continue to win and continue to try to make sure they don't choke away their division, they should be just fine. The Detroit Lions, top three. I think this is the last top three team. And let's be honest, the Lions lost in week one, and I think a lot of people panicked on them. But the Lions have won 3 decisive games in the last 3 weeks, and they've put up 41 points per game in the last 3 weeks, and the Lions are most definitely back now. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, borderline elite. And I think this will round off our tier list with the best borderline elite team. I know there's a lot of borderline elite teams, but just bear with me. The Buccaneers played really well against the top team in football. So, although I have to drop them a tier because they lost, I'm still going to say this is one of the best teams in football right now, even though they lost. But let's go ahead and rank these teams from 32 to 1. 32 Saints, 31 Jets, 30 Browns, 29 Titans, 28 Dolphins, 27 Panthers, 26 Giants, 25 Raiders, 24 Bengals, 23 Texans, 22 Cardinals, 21 Falcons, 20 Patriots, 19 Vikings, 18 Ravens, 17 Commanders, 16 Bears, 15 Cowboys, 14 Broncos, 13 Steelers, 12 49ers, 11 Seahawks, 10 Chiefs, 9 Colts, 8 Jaguars, 7 Chargers, 6 Rams, 5 Packers, 4 Buccaneers, 3 Lions, 2 Bills, and 1 Eagles. But thank you for watching. God bless. And with that,
Peace!